Number 3, promotion of teamwork and social learning. This is very, very important, vital for our understanding of teaching. We promote teamwork. In a VUCA world, people have to collaborate to solve difficult solutions, difficult situations, social situations, economic and political situations. This is also called social learning. People learn how to interact with other team members to solve a difficult and complex assignment. Also, they learn that there might exist different views on one single situation or assignment. These different views can contribute to a good solution of the situation. So it's vital to have different perspectives on one problem or on one assignment. Then number 4, preference for action-oriented and experiential forms of learning means we prefer action-oriented and experiential forms of learning. What do we mean by that? Theory serves as a stimulus to incite learning processes, and we try to integrate the foreknowledge into the learning process. The foreknowledge of students is our natural point of departure for the learning process. So we don't start with theory, we start with a foreknowledge of the students with regard to a certain situation, with regard to a certain problem. So the last one, we hold the conviction that learning is an open and lifelong process. Nobody ever finished learning, not even we. So we try to create a learning culture in our university and keep our minds open. Okay, so what does this all mean? What do all these techniques mean for task settings and the lesson design in our university? It means that we follow the principle of completeness of the task. In German educational science, there exists the principle of completeness of the task. So what is this principle about? The task you give to students should be complete. This means the task consists of 6 necessary elements of an action. So the task, the assignment forms a whole action. For example, beginning with information sourcing. Students are provided with material for solving a task, a special assignment, for example. But they are also asked to retrieve other information sources, for example, other textbooks, online sources, scientific internet sources. So they learn how to retrieve relevant information in order to solve a problem or a certain task. Secondly, decision about procedure. The students themselves have to discuss the different ways to organize their work, to distribute tasks and manage the solution process. This is also a kind of social learning. They learn how to solve problems in a random team. And thirdly, weighing up alternative courses of action. In the course of task processing, the team has to decide which action should be done. This includes weighing up alternatives and deciding and decisions. The fourth point is about the implementation of the work. The students carry out the assignment, for example, a case study, and the last 2 points are about control of the work results, the assessment and the evaluation of the results. These last 2 steps are normally done with the teacher to evaluate, to assess the results. The team presents the results to their fellow students and the teacher, and together we control, assess, and evaluate the results. So what are the special requirements for tasks? The requirement of the tasks include 4 steps, 4 points, 4 elements, for example, theory and practice. Of course, we are action-oriented, and this means not just practical exploitability. Tasks have to meet the requirement of the principle of completeness, and this principle is vital, but it's not only about practical exploitability. We build personalities. That means that first, concrete and specific tasks lead to engagement with theory. So we try to engage the students with theory, with theoretical models, for example. The task should be complex and problematic. And number three, the task management is left to the students. They have to plan, to organize, and control the solving of the task themselves. And the task should be realistic. Situations described in the task should be probable and not completely invented. So we try to be as realistic as possible in our assignments. And practically, this means that we form a learning community with our students. And that means we are also learners, also teachers are learners, and we try to solve practical problems with our students. And we guide them through their process, but they have to find their own way to some extent. Secondly, you increase the students' competences to solve complex, realistic problems along with the ability of social learning. That's what we mean when we say we build personalities, not only we form certain skills of our students. Then we activate our students. They will no longer behave like passive vessels into which you have to pour your knowledge. The problem presented in the assignment becomes their problem and is no longer a problem of the teacher. It's their problem. It's so realistic that they accept it as their problem to solve. And you combine theory with practice. Practice is not self-evident. And so we have to confront our students with theoretical models. Specific problems lead to theory, and theory helps improve solutions to practical problems. This means practically you confront students with realistic case studies. For example, a workforce is unmotivated and they perform poorly. That's the specific case. And students have to find out about motivational theories and how to apply them in this special case. And so they develop solutions how to understand the motivation and how to improve it in an organization. Another consequence for my role as a teacher or a lecturer, you avoid inert knowledge, which means knowledge which is of no practical use at all. And the last consequence, the students learn how to organize their learning processes by themselves, and they take responsibility of it. So that's our or my concept of how I want to go about in my modules. I think this will not work for every module. It could be complicated with statistic or mathematics or accounting, but in business ethics or in human resource management, this turns out to be a very good form of teaching and learning. So I give you two examples. One example assignment, which I do with my international students. The students are given 4 texts by Fredmund Malik. Malik is a very famous management thinker. And the students are confronted with a 3-pager on teamwork, for example. That's room 3. That's the assignment with text on teamwork by Fredmund Malik. And they have to find out what Malik basically thinks about teamwork. And they have to develop a research design for the practical problems and questions which arise with teamwork. So the students can learn that theory plays a practical role in solving practical problems. So that's one example. Another example might be that's human resource management. This case is about a young leader who's trying to find his way into his new role. This young leader has to do staff things, fire people or recruit new staff members. And the students are confronted with the case which I invented, which is very complicated, but I built on my experience. And so they are confronted with a very realistic and very problematic scenario, which they have to solve. Okay, with these practical examples, I would like to conclude my little tour de force through my teaching techniques, and I hope you enjoyed my brief presentation. Thank you for having me. Shukran jazilan, and thank you for your attention. And I'm eager to hear about your questions now.